Toga, 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 toga.
That's me, third from the back. Anyway, think Animal House is just a movie. What if I told you it's an actual law now in New Jersey? Kind of kid you not. A popular shore town called Belmar has been cracking down on the so-called animal houses during the peak summer season, like now. And now cops are using Google Earth to monitor some of these prime party places. Tenants of the homes are very upset. Landlords are too, but Jack Hill says that it's absolutely necessary. See, Jack is the chief of police in Belmar, New Jersey, and I'm not going to ask him any tough questions because he has a gun. All right. So, Chief, good to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So a lot of people say you're being a little intrusive.
Intrusive in what way? I don't understand that.
You're kind of putting all this out there. What are the questionable homes? Letting all see. Landlords don't like that. Even the residents don't like it. What do you
well, actually, what we're doing, we're sharing information. In the information age, tenants routinely tell us that their landlord never told them that the house that they're staying in had been adjudged an animal house.
What makes one an animal house?
Well, that dates back to 1993 when the state of New Jersey enabled legislation to have towns enable animal house ordinances. An animal house ordinance, or animal house designation right now, comes after 2 convictions for a noise violation, or other quality of life type violations at the residence. The landlord then is brought before an administrative hearing officer, who then evaluates if the landlord's been responsible, what type of violations and that sort of thing. And then the hearing officer makes it an animal house or not.
All right, so all of a sudden you become an animal house. The landlord's not going to like it because you do this little thing from Google Earth and you can cite the homes that are questionable.
Well, if I was a tenant looking to rent a house in Belmar, or if I was a local resident wanting to see if noise violations have been reported on a certain house, Google Earth enables me to do that.
But they're privacy guys, Sheriff, I'm sure you've heard, and we're going to hear one from a lawyer, I'm sure, that say, hey, we know what the sheriff's trying to do, but he's getting Big Brother-ish.
Well, I'm not the sheriff, I'm the chief.
Oh, sorry.
But that's okay.
And you do have a gun, so I apologize again.
This is nothing more than what's available to the public through OPRA, through the Open Public Records Act.
Well, that's not fair, Chief. You're taking it another level, right?
Well, we're taking it another level. We're using technology to make that information available to residents, tenants, and landlords if they wish.
But what if someone looks at Belmar altogether, Chief, and says, you know what, I don't want anything to do with the whole town?
Why would they do that?
Because they know the frequency of these animal houses. We're all places say, you know what, I'll just go to the next town.
Well, I'll tell you, Belmar's a great place. It's probably one of the best towns in the Jersey Shore. It enables people to have a good time. We have a great beachfront. We do have limits on the conduct. Your intro.
What's the worst thing you've seen?
The worst thing I've seen is a party of 300 or 400 people partying hard, destroying property. The worst thing I've seen is, this is over a span of 27 years. We have been battling this rampant disorderly behavior forever, and we're finally having an impact with the animal house statutes.
Okay.
It's enabling our residents and visitors alike to sleep at night and not be woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning by a bunch of drunks beating on trash cans.
Okay. Well, you are scaring me, Chief, so I'm not going to ask you any more questions.
No.
Chief, very good seeing you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now we're going to get the other side right here. Randy Pierce says that Belmar is going too far. He has been representing landlords and renters there for some 10 years, says that his clients are outraged. Why are you outraged?
Quite frankly, Neil, this is a pattern that's been going on in Belmar for about the last 10 years, where the mayor and the police commissioner, whoever it might have been at any given time, feel that the Constitution does not exist in Belmar. The rights
well, you know what? But the chief raises a good point, doesn't he? That look, if I'm going to rent a house or I'm going to buy a house, I want to be familiar with what's going on in the area. And if this provides a means for me to be familiar, I'm a little wiser.
Well, that's the justification, Neil. The problem is that you made a very good point in your question to the chief, which was, doesn't this make people look at this town and say, I don't want to have anything to do with it? And that's exactly what the goal has been of the administration in Belmar for the last 10 years, to eliminate all rental units in Belmar. Unfortunately, they've been somewhat successful. In the mid-1990s, there were 800 units. late 1990s, there were about 550. We're down to less than 400 now.
But that's a phenomenon across all coastal communities, right? The number of rental units is drying up as more people buy outright, right?
Certainly a factor, but in this particular case, when the chief talks about these big parties with 300 people, what you need to know and what your viewers need to know is if you go to Belmar and you are sitting on your front porch, speaking at the same level I'm speaking to you right now, and an officer walks down the street, if he can hear you from the sidewalk, that's a noise violation.
But Chief, you know, I mean, do you have kids? How old are they?
I have 3 children. I have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and an 11-year-old.
Let's focus on the 17-year-old. She goes to a party at a house, and it gets raucous and disorderly. Aren't you going to want to know about that?
Absolutely.
All right, so wouldn't you want, if your son or daughter, says, look, I'm going to rent this house in Belmar, you're oblivious to the fact what's going on in that house or that it has a history of this sort of behavior, you'd want to know, right?
The problem is that the history that you're talking about is not a history. It's one summons being issued, not a slew of big parties.
So you think the chief's going too far?
Way too far.
All right. Well, see, you're not with him, and you're not seeing the gun, so you don't have to go that far. All right. Thank you very,
Thank you, Neil.
much.